So I'm Caius Jacott. I've been downhill longboarding, which is which is basically skateboarding on a longboard. There's not really much of a difference, despite what many people believe. For about 1.5, 2 years, I got involved there was a movie, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, where there was a longboarding scene, but I had also been looking at the longboarding scene for a while, mostly because I had been skateboarding, but park skating was never really my thing. I just couldn't get into it. Me personally, it's a general rule of thumb that anything over 30 miles an hour, you should wear a full face helmet, because you basically just tear your jaw up if you fall and come down on it. So I use a full face helmet. I use, obviously, a longboard and slide gloves. Shoes aren't really that big of a deal, but I generally just wear flat-bottomed shoes. I would definitely say yes, especially when you're throwing slides and stuff, because you're really close to the ground. Generally, the rule of thumb with any sport that's dangerous like this is, if you're not scared, you're stupid or dead. Generally, a typical ride starts off with you're hiking. Well, either you start at the top of the hill or you hike up the hill, which is a long process in which you basically build excitement for the entire ride. A typical ride starts off with 1, 2, maybe 3 pushes, and after that you get into a tuck where you pin your arms behind your back, tuck your knees in as close as possible, and from there it's kind of just muscle memory to a certain degree, where it's just you lean from side to side to turn, correct things. If you need to, you can slide to a stop, which generally most people do. You stick one glove down on the ground, you get really low to the ground, you kick out your wheels. That's a really funny question. I love riding in the mornings when I can, but I generally can't, so I don't really have a preference, but I generally ride at night. I would say probably the most unforgettable ride was the first time I hit 35. Either that or it was the time I hit a crack and flipped over into my neighbor's fence. Well, I was rounding the corner, and this was about 3 months into when I first started downhilling. And I was rounding a corner, and it was my first time really trying to throw a slide around a corner. And I came around this corner doing 20. It wasn't anything crazy. And I hit a crack, and my wheel dipped into the crack, and I just remember going flying across the road and smacking into this guy's wooden fence, being so afraid I had broken it. And it turns out I had actually just cracked a half-shell helmet. I would say that I'm generally, as far as like inspiration goes, it doesn't exactly apply, but I would say that I'm inspired by Billy Bones, who isn't really that well known, and that's about it. You can ride longboards for basically your entire life. There was a guy who recently died I think he was 65 or 70, and he rode longboards his entire life. He started when he was 15. So it's a lifelong sport. In the future, I plan to join the IDF. No, it's not the Israeli Defense Force, despite what most people think. It is the International Downhill Federation, and they put on races and stuff, and I'm planning on jumping into that as much as I can, so I would say riding professionally, not necessarily for a company, but just racing more, rather than just downhilling on my own. And it's just a lot of fun. It's definitely a sport that I would say people should get into, experiment with. Even if you're not doing downhill, there's so many other facets of longboarding that I think that it has something for everyone, as long as you're willing to get out and try it.